What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we're going to get a Horizon Forbidden West gameplay presentation at the Game Awards 2020, or just generally anything. So this is, yet again, another video in my series where I talk about individual games, if they could be, if they won't be at the Game Awards, and if they are, what could we see from them? What could we expect from them? So I've done this for quite a few games. It's Horizon's turn. I'm really excited to talk about this game. This is, I think, my most anticipated game of 2021. I'm really excited for it, and I do think, much like a lot of the other games I've talked about, there is a very high, there's a possibility. Is it very likely? I would probably say no, and we'll talk about all the reasons in this video, but it's definitely possible. Okay, as always, if you guys are new, or if you guys have been watching but are not subscribed, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you guys hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. The link for that's in the description below, or again, you can just look me up, Podcast Now 15, on Twitter itself. Okay, now, and speaking of Twitter, I did a little question for people, and again, I mentioned this in the God of War video yesterday. I asked people a few days ago, would you want to see God of War or Horizon? Like, which one would you want to see at the Game Awards? And a lot of people said God of War, so naturally I made a video on both. I was originally just going to make it on the one that more people said, but I mean, I can't leave Horizon Forbidden West out, right? And to be honest with you, so we talked about this in the God of War video, there's some features about Horizon that make sense for it. It really does. And there's some of them I would almost argue goes Horizon's way, where it doesn't go God of War's way. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's go through it. Well, number one, Horizon releases next year. That's a big thing. I think that's it's not entirely necessary to have to release next year to be shown at the Game Awards. I don't think it's going to be a slam dunk guarantee for all of these games. But one thing I said for God of War is like, well, Horizon originally was supposed to come out in the spring. Okay, I will die by that blade that I've always said that there was a video, and I've said this before, but there was a video when the game was first announced where somebody at Guerrilla Games said that they're targeting spring 2021. Now, in the ad for all the PS5 games, it says fall. So Horizon Forbidden West is coming out in the fall. It was never said to have done that, so it was delayed. That's what I'm going to just stand. I'm always going to stand on that hill. If you guys want to push me off that hill, it's totally fine, but I'm going to do that, okay? Now, why do I say that? Well, God of War also was 2021, and you got to imagine that the goal was fall of 2021. So would you have both of them be in the fall? No, you probably have pushed God of War as well into 2022. So that, I would say, hurts God of War's chance at the Game Awards, but helps Horizon. The fact that it is, they have Ratchet and Clank, they have Kena Bridge of Spirits, they have a couple other games, but for the most part, like, Horizon is the big 2021 game. Unless Spider-Man just comes swinging out of nowhere and comes out, right? Then Horizon is that big game of 2021. Even with God of War, I mean, I guess they would both be the big games, but if it's only Horizon, Horizon would be the big game. So it makes sense that would be a game you'd want to show off at the Game Awards. Now, I'll start with one other negative that I also said with God of War is that Silent Hill, the Konami registered game, right? Because Sony has the rights to use them. They've paid Konami for it, but it's still owned by Konami, okay? And Sony is making a Silent Hill PS5 exclusive. That game is heavily rumored to be at the Game Awards. I believe it. I really do think that it's going to be shown this year or this time, right? So I think that's going to be Sony's big thing. And the question I asked for God of War, the question you could ask for any, I guess specifically Sony game in this case, is would they go more than once? Would Jeff Keighley allow that? Because as I've always said, Jeff Keighley doesn't want it to be like too much on one publisher, okay? They don't want to make it the Sony show. So would they push Horizon and Silent Hill, and then people want God of War as well? Well, that's 3 games. You keep going. I mean, that's a lot to show, okay? So that's something to keep in mind. Would they show Horizon if it's pretty much a slam dunk that they would show Silent Hill? Now, if they don't, I didn't say this for the God of War one. I guess it's something that we should throw out as a possibility. If they don't show Silent Hill for some reason, if that game is again not there, like it hasn't been for many times, that's making people pretty mad, including myself, then, I mean, that opens them up. You know what I mean? So then they could slot another exclusive game into that slot. So I'm not saying it's impossible that they could have 2 of them. I'm not saying it's impossible that Silent Hill isn't there and then Horizon takes that, I mean, specifically for this Horizon video, right, takes that spot. Now, the reason I opened this video up by saying gameplay is because that's what I think we're in for, right? I think that the next step for Horizon is to do gameplay for it. We saw a full-length trailer. It was cinematic. It didn't actually have any, no, I mean, there were like hints of gameplay, but I wouldn't say like there was like gameplay footage inserted like we have seen in other games just in general, right? That's not the case. Even if you look at like Gotham Knights, I've been talking a lot about Gotham Knights, especially in the videos I've recorded today. If you look at Gotham Knights' main trailer, like the official trailer, there's gameplay elements in there, and it's very clear that like there's some cinematic stuff, but there's also gameplay stuff. You know what I mean? Horizon was like all cinematic. Now again, I'm not saying like we're not gonna be able to do anything that they showed in Horizon. No, okay, obviously we're gonna be able to do that. But the point is they mainly showed cinematic stuff. So the next, I think, logical step is gameplays, that we're going to get gameplay for Horizon Forbidden West. So then we have to go into that discussion. Do they show gameplay for this game at the Game Awards? I think it's possible. Again, as I've said a couple times this past week, what we've learned actually recently, very recently from Jeff Keighley, is there will be some extended gameplay presentations at the Game Awards, which I had always said really up until this past Sunday wasn't going to happen. In fact, they don't really do, if you look at the past years of the Game Awards, they don't really do that. But now Jeff Keighley said that they basically will. So that does open it up where, hey, if you want to show a 4 or 5 minute little presentation of Horizon, you could. Now, again, you can't show 10 games doing a 5-minute presentation, right? Because then you make the show too long. So as always, they're all possibilities. They're all things that could be there, but they can't, not all of them could actually show up. You know what I mean? Each of them individually has its own shot at it, but you know, when you start inserting them in, you have to start eliminating more from that group because you're just not going to fit them all in. So I think it's possible. Again, I know people want God of War more. I purposely didn't answer the question because I don't really know. I also don't want to make people mad. I feel like I would say Horizon. I'm more looking now. Again, it's mainly because like my hype, and I've talked about this in live streams before. My hype meter strictly goes based off which game is closest. So like I'm really anticipating Cyberpunk because it's so close. But then after that, Hitman 3 really becomes like my next most excited game because it's the next game. Okay, that's kind of how I just kind of focus on, because life is obviously I can get pretty. Actually, life is strange, right? Life is very strange. But because life can be kind of crazy, I try to focus on very small segments. Also, just because of my lifestyle and then the channel and all that stuff, I really just try and focus on the stuff that's closest. I would probably say Horizon though. So I would want to see both. I want to see Horizon. I'll tell you that again, I've made a lot of videos on these games, and some games I think are like very good candidates that like make so much sense. I think are very, very likely. A lot of them I think like they could not flip a coin and make that decide for you. And then I think there's a very few that I've talked about in this series over the last couple of weeks that I think flat out won't happen. Like have no chance. What GTA 6 is an example, right? I would put Horizon in that middle category where it definitely makes sense. It fits the categories. It's a big Sony game. Comes out in 2021. You get to showcase next gen. You get to show gameplay, and all that stuff makes sense for Horizon. All that stuff makes sense for Jeff Keighley. All that stuff makes sense for Sony. Okay, those are all the things that it kind of checks the box on. But then again, you do have to look at the negatives where it's like, well, you don't want to make it a Sony show, so you can only have so much stuff, so you have to pick and choose. It's possible that there's like next to nothing, right? Maybe they don't have gameplay ready. Maybe they don't want to show gameplay yet, right? There's a lot of things that could potentially happen that would stop it. So I would say, I'm hoping, I would love to see it. It would be, I would say, if there's Horizon gameplay, it would be a top 5 thing at this year's game. There's no way it would like fall out of that. You know what I mean? It would be a really, really big thing at the Game Awards, okay? But I'm not going in expecting it. So if you care about my opinion or what I think, which you don't have to, but if you do, I'm not expecting it. I'm hoping for it, but I'm not expecting it. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you expecting? Are you hoping for it? Do you think we'd see maybe another trailer, gameplay? What do you want to see? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. As always, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. Again, you can look me up on Twitter, or a link for it is in the description below, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.